Hey guys, what's up? How are you doing these days?
What's up, y'all? My name is James O'Mara.
Hey guys, Dan Janoff here.
My name is Kyle.
Hi, my name is Mario.
It's tribe member Brian, coming to you from Seattle, Washington.
Let's go! MASU! MASU! MASU!
My name's Josh. I'm from a tiny little country called New Zealand.
My name's Kyle.
Hi, I'm John Podolenko.
I'm Mason Kirby.
Hey, my name is Felix Rodriguez. I'm 27 years old. I'm from Tacoma, Washington.
Starting to think that I may be the only Machinae Supremacy fan down here, but I'm trying to change it.
I'm Thomas from the band Urizen.
And I'm Daniel, also from the band Urizen.
What's up, everyone? This is Victor, aka Kid Machinae, here to talk about the 20th anniversary of Machinae Supremacy.
Holy crap, 20 years.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
This is a story about how I came to learn about the Machinae Supremacy guys.
When I found you 20 years ago through a friend who was Swedish and your Janus Sisters cover, I don't think I ever envisioned that I'd be listening to you for 20 years, let alone sending you a message like this over the internet, and that the internet would have evolved this way.
I've been a Machinae Supremacy fan for gotta be like 14, 15 years now.
I don't even know. It was 2002, 2003? Sophomore year, junior year, something like that at college.
I first discovered Machinae Supremacy about 13 years ago when my buddy introduced me to the song Hero, and it was just love at first listen.
My good friend, Chris Cook, I like to call him C-Squared, so you'll hear that a few times, was introduced to Machinae Supremacy by his brother via a music forum. Came over and showed me that, and I was really digging it.
I was camping with my parents, sitting in a shitty deck chair that was broken, listening to my brother's iPod, and there was only one song on there that had lyrics with it. And that was the first time I'd ever seen that. And it was attack music. And I was like, it's my jam. This is rad. What else do these guys do?
When I was like 13, 14, I was watching a Minecraft video by the Yogscast. There was like some custom map, some zombie boss battle thing, and then attack music just like... Attack music! And I was just like... What is this music? I wasn't really into music at the time. I used to play the saxophone for school, but that's about it. But then I heard metal. And I was blown away.
And I found Winter Storm. And that fucking blew me away. I cannot describe what that song meant to me in that moment. Being the only 13-year-old at this campground, stuck there for a week, having done all the fun shit already, just sitting in a tent, listening to music at night. That was the best.
And then I picked up a guitar, and then I just learned that song, and then I learned Nova Prospect, I learned Force Feedback, then Laser Speed Force came out, and I was just like, oh, wow. Yeah.
You turned me on to MASU back in, 2011?
10 or 11?
Yeah.
It was something that I was just hooked to the moment I heard them, and they're immaculate. Everything about them
blew my mind, and I don't think I've listened to anything close to it since.
It has this drive to it. It's intelligent. It's got great riffs. It's melodic. It's hard. It's got energy. It's got compassion. All of it put together. It's got those video game tones that, like me and the guys that I, hang out with, like we all, gravitate towards those, retro tones and retro sounds.
So the first time I heard MASU was several years before we met. Our friend and former bass player James was and is a big MASU fan, and we had just started experimenting with digital Nintendo-y kind of stuff in our music, and James was like, well, you heard of these guys? It's Sid metal. They do that kind of stuff, and he showed us, and we're like, oh wow, these guys are terrible. No.
Yeah, we're like, what is this garbage? Like, who would ever combine metal with video games? These guys must be huge dorks, is what we all said back then.
What bunch of dorks.
Super dorks.
So that's when we knew.
We knew we would be best friends.
Good friends.
I remember being first introduced to them back in the early 2010s by my good friend Victor Velen, who played me a few of their songs. And I remember just being so impressed by how unique their sound was. Because whenever I hear a new band, a new genre, new whatever, I always try to focus on what makes them stand out, what makes them so unique. And I've always been a fan of video game music as its own entity, but it being brought into the world of metal, and then the world of metal just sort of harmonizing with it as great as it did with the guitars, it was just really just like, wow, this is just unlike anything I've ever heard before, and I love both of these things, and I never really thought of how well they would just mesh together, and they did such an amazing job of that.
I got into the band around 2007. Redeemer was the latest album out at the time. It was late 2007, so news was a new album was going to drop. Early 2008 is where we got to enjoy Overworld, so that album cycle, that's when everything was fresh at that point. But I would discover their first two albums and also the back catalog online due to a game that I would pick up at the time, which is In the Groove, which is a Dance Dance Revolution spin-off game. That game contained Hybrid and Boof. And it would become a love since that point.
Hybrid, I thought, was a amazing combo, like something unexpected between Lord of the Rings and the Matrix, and it just kind of blew my mind away that these guys kind of melded these things together.
My first song was Return to Snake Mountain. I believe it was on a music video on YouTube, like a trailer for a mod for Zelda: Link to the Past, and I was hooked. And from then on, I just I kept listening more and more, and here we are today.
I discovered them through a YouTube video. I was a big World of Warcraft player at the time, and I was trying to learn how to do some tricks on my rogue, and there was a video that had Gimme More as the background. Like, that's a catchy tune, I like it. I started looking it up. I didn't know the name of the song. It didn't have any credits posted on YouTube, so I started looking for it by the lyrics, and I kept seeing Britney Spears, and I'm like, what the shit?
What the shit is this?
It's Britney, bitch.
After searching and got like somewhere near the bottom of the second page, I discovered a different band name, Machinae Supremacy, and I was like, okay, maybe that's something. I clicked on it, and that was opening of a whole new world for me.
Cryo Sleep, Great Guyana Sisters, just it spiraled down, and I could not even tell you how excited I was to kind of dig into it all.
I think at first I wasn't super into it, and then my brother really got into it, and then the more he'd be in the other room and listening, and then the more I heard it, I found myself starting to listen to it a lot more.
After I discovered Gimme More, the very next song I heard was Edge and Pearl, and that was what's truly sealed the deal for me. That was the song that, even to this day, it is probably one of my favorites. After a few years gone by, though, Villain of the Story was released, and it just renewed, my love for what you guys do. It just that song speaks to me on a personal level, and it's just the melodies and it just the lyrics, the story it tells, it resonates. I can identify with it. It's a truly amazing song.
Favorite song for a long time used to be Blind Dog Pride. Recently, I like Hub Nester Rising. On my old MySpace page, I used to have Rogue World Asylum play.
I think OG Hero is my favorite song of yours, and actually one of my favorite songs of all time.
It's hard to pick a favorite, but you never forget your first.
If you put a gun to my head, I think I'd have to go with Last March of the Undead. It's just gets me every time. I can't explain it. I just love it.
I'm gonna go with a song that you'll probably not hear really anybody else say, and I'm gonna go with Dark City.
I think I had Dark City on like repeat for months, just out of time, like just that song.
How that song starts is probably my favorite intro to any song they've ever done. How beautiful the guitar sounds there, and just basically throughout the entire song, how it just sort of harmonizes so well with Rob's vocals. Speaking of Rob's vocals, there is a certain line in that song of, I walk across the dead train yard remembering who we are. And that line is something that's always stuck with me because I'm a very nostalgic person. I like to reminisce a lot about how cool things were, about my childhood, about all these sorts of things, and whenever I hear that line, it really just takes me back every single time. And then, of course, the guitar solo in that song, it's just so beautiful.
To be honest, it has the best solo of all time, forever. Like, in any song, across any genre, better than Zeppelin, better than Van Halen, any Guns N' Roses, you name it, the best solo. So Jonas, tip my hat to you, sir, because it fits the melodic aspect of it, the tones of the song, it's got feeling, it just fits so good, and it's just epic. And it's such an epic moment. You think it's going somewhere, and then it kind of gets bigger, and then it kind of does other things. It feels so good.
It's truly a hidden masterpiece among other masterpieces that they've done.
My favorite song, actually, from that era and just of all time period, being a huge gamer, Player One was the song that's always stuck with me. It's inspirational just in the gaming sense where, you know, the whole saving the princess, getting the girl type of deal. It's something that has very rarely, I don't think at any point actually, hasn't been relatable to me in some way.
Legion is Stupid has a message that's kind of transcended. It's almost more relevant today than it used to be. The song Skin helped me a lot with my self-image and my confidence. And I love that their songs don't just stay sad, but kind of crescendo into something more positive and uplifting.
My favorite MASU song is and always will be Through the Looking Glass. It's just a beautiful song. The lyrics are fantastic and the music is beautiful.
Pro tip: the best song is Indiscriminate Murder is counterproductive. The end.
So MASU has taught me a very important lesson, and that is indiscriminate murder is counterproductive. But no, every time I listen to their music, I listen to it at work all the time, and it never ceases to bring a smile to my face. You know, it just fills me with joy.
So what you're saying is you should discriminate to people before you kill them.
Yeah. Discriminate murder is productive, but indiscriminate murder.
My favorite song is Earthbound. It's just really powerful and really strong. It's really upbeat. I love like how interesting it is rhythmically. I love the vocals, how the like that harsh, almost like overdriven style of vocals.
And then I remember kind of flaming C-Squared because he was like, I just ordered a CD from Sweden. I was like, Sweden? You're never going to get a CD. They don't make CDs in Sweden, you know, because I was super smart when I was in college.
These people are plenty smart. Yes, sir. A lot of them actually went to college.
And that was back when CDs were a thing, before, like, you know, everybody was crazy ripping everything off. But anyway, so he gets the Redeemer track CD in the mail, you know, weeks later.
Machine is rebelling.
I ripped everything off of it, and I could not stop listening to it. Redeemer was really like my first album that I was totally invested.
I discovered them at one of the lowest points in my life. And it was just kind of that turning point that just, I lost myself in their music for months. I didn't have anything else on my playlist but, Machine Supremacy, literally nothing else. And it's what kind of got me through the harder times, allowed me to kind of turn the tide and make some better decisions and choices in my life. And even today, I'm doing a lot better, and I think in big part because of your music. It's a part of me now.
I would go definitely through phases every year of just kind of going so hard and so deep on their work and their discography that I just immerse myself, and I'd be like playing games, I'd be running, I'd be doing whatever I would be doing. It's like driving the car, like just totally rocking out to, everything.
I can 100% say that without the internet, there is no way I would have ever heard of this band.
That was everything for us, really.
Given that it's a Swedish band, if it hadn't been for the internet, I probably would have never heard of them. And even so, if it hadn't been for the word of mouth, like I had said, my cousin had showed me the band, and I'm pretty sure that they found the band through some forum or something like that. And if it hadn't been for those things being popular when they were at that exact moment, then my cousin wouldn't have heard of them, I wouldn't have heard of them, and then like all the people that I've talked to subsequently about the band that have become fans, they would have never had heard of them.
I remember, and sometime between there and like the years immediately after college, or like ending college, which is like between like 2004 to 2006, somewhere in there. We had reached out to, before Nikki was in the band, we had reached out to Thomas on MySpace, of all places, to say hello and get him to come and play at Cookfest, which is Chris Cook's family festival every year in his backyard in the summer. And he responded just saying, like, he said something like hello, like whatever, but we're like, wow, we're talking to the band. It was so cool. It was one of the best moments when we were growing up, and we're like, oh cool, we're connected even more.
There used to be forums, but it evolved into a Facebook group. It's essentially Forum 2.0, as we said at one point. It's the Machine Tribe on Facebook.
That's what we call ourselves, sort of like a team. Earth's mightiest heroes type thing.
It's a free discussion forum where basically we would all talk about anything that had to do with MASU, whether it be favorite song, what do you like about the new album that just dropped, that we've been able to enjoy that a few times over the years. We also used to do, at some point, these lobbies where we would play a bunch of their tracks like back to back and just celebrate the music together, and the band would take part in that as well, which was really awesome.
The internet has really changed and shaped the ability for a band to grow and communicate, and I see the band posting all the time on Facebook, so it's been really cool to be able to interact with them and see them not just as musicians creating product, but like as people.
Some of these same meetups years later would take place at MagFest Live, sometimes with the band, sometimes without, like in spirit and whatnot. And it would get a lot of like-minded fans, and a lot of us tend to be introverted, so it provided a safe space and also a common ground for everybody to talk about.
We first started connecting with them during the rise of a Digital Nation video shoot.
So Chris Cook, again, I guess he's my gateway to a lot of this stuff, because I'm terrible when it comes to social media, and I'm terrible when it comes to a lot of this other stuff. Facebook, I'd never go on Facebook. He said Machine Supremacy is doing a contest and is asking fans to submit their videos of them singing this new song off their new album so that they can make a music video out of it. Oh my God! I said, absolutely. We are 100% doing it. I don't care. We're going to send it, and hopefully we'll be in the music video. That was it. That was our objective. And I remember C-Squared and I went out on a really foggy day, New York City, took a GoPro, my GoPro from, I don't know, GoPro 1 or whatever. It was like really wasn't really great camera work, but it did what it needed to do. And we went out and did a full day shoot on this little GoPro with this little SD card. 2 songs into the day, we were just so amped. We were just like, every time we heard it, we're like, ah! And we're walking back towards Times Square from Central Park, and we were passing the Letterman show. And I was like, this is a great view of Times Square in the distance. So we're like, let's put the GoPro down and film a scene right now. Chris was off in the distance, and he's like having the guitar, and he's like framed up with these two, like, you know, the skyscrapers go in the street in the perspective, Times Square in the background. And I was like, this is gonna be awesome. I'm just gonna do push-ups and put my big fat head in front of the camera. And that was the push-up scene. And we did that for a little while, and every time my head goes away from, you know, the camera, you see Chris in the background just rocking out on the guitar, and then my big fat head comes back in. But that, for whatever reason, long story long, I guess, when it made itself into the video, it became known as like the push-up guy, which is hysterical to me and also really awesome. So hey everybody, it's a push-up guy. We finished making the video. We submit the whole video. It's literally the length of the song, and I don't even know how many days later, Rob sent a note to Chris, and he goes, I will never forget this. He wrote, "This is what I'm talking about. This is epic, win and awesome." And holy shit, it blew our minds. We're like, oh my god, he's talking to us. Wow. Like, we're totally fangirling.
Thankfully, that footage put us on their radar. That video was a tremendous success to begin with. It was the perfect embodiment of everything that's good about social media. Breaking down of barriers, putting us all on an equal human playing field where we could kind of communicate and show passion for music. It was awesome.
That honestly started the dialogue where it forced me to go on social media a little bit more. And we're like, holy crap, we're talking to Machinae Supremacy. Like, we are talking to this band that we've idolized since, you know, in college. And here they are just chatting us up on Facebook, sliding into our DMs.
One word, epic.
And a little later on, we were able to hang out with the band in New York City as they were on their way to their first MagFest.
Rob reached out to us and said, hey, we're going to play, we as in Machinae Supremacy, they're going to play at MagFest. Their first show in the States ever. By the way, A, there's that information, and then B, we want to come to New York a week before. Can you show us around? We're like, fuck yes, we can.
So we showed them around, took them to some of our favorite places in the city.
Lots of alcohol was consumed, good times were had.
And we became fast friends, like it, just like that.
Meeting the band. Well, I think most of us stateside first met them when they came over and went to MagFest.
That was really cool.
Robert walking out on stage, carrying that American flag in those opening moments, such an iconic image. Nikki wearing those American flag tights, setting up the drums.
Right, I remember that.
Tommy playing with the flu that we all caught somehow.
Right.
It's such a classic moment.
Just saw them walking into the convention center, so I think I grabbed a picture with them, and I was definitely starstruck, so I probably didn't talk very much. I think by the last time they came around I went to the meet and greet and definitely talked to everyone a lot more, to Rob and to Gordon and Tommy. Particularly talked to Tommy a lot about Norther, because that's the shit.
The night of the gig at MagFest on 2015 was one of the best nights of my life. And the day after, the day I got to talk to you, to meet you guys and talk to you, and you guys to know me, is one of the best memories that I have. One of my dearest memories. It's something that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life.
Party with you, drink, talk, explore philosophy, play Street Fighter with Yona. Yona's really good. I'm just saying, Yona's really good. My controller was really bad though, in all fairness, but he still would have destroyed me.
We played together at MagFest, but we did not know each other at this point.
We played Friday.
Yeah. I don't know how I
played Saturday.
They played Saturday. They were the headliners because they're big.
Because they are big stars.
Big boy band.
And we're a little boy band. Yeah, but you know, I was down in the marketplace, perhaps after having a few adult beverages, and I was feeling more social than I would normally have felt, because I'm shy. Some dude had Punch-Out on a screen, and I was like, Punch-Out, I love that game! So I was playing Punch-Out. And as I was playing, Nikki and Gordon came up and Nikki was gonna buy some. It was like, I think it had like the atomic symbol or like the nuclear symbol goggles.
My eyes, the goggles do nothing.
And I was like, hey, wait a minute. You are the guys from Machinae Supremacy, right? And they were, it turns out. And I was like, oh, you gotta meet my friend Rustin. He was our bassist. And we went back and I introduced him to Rustin. And we're like, hey, you guys are cool. And they were like, hey, you guys are cool too, which may or may not have been true. But they said it to us.
It did.
So I'm going to choose to believe it.
They're very polite.
They are very polite.
I met Machinae Supremacy through Night of the Round's performance at MagFest. They were maybe like a song or two, I think, into their set, if I remember correctly. And I would actually get approached by Rob himself. He would give me a hug because he recognized me in the crowd. And with him was Nikki and Gordon as well. It was a huge moment for me. I don't even have words to describe how unreal it felt to actually be approached in that manner, because as Rob said himself, usually it's the other way around. It's the fans that approach, the band members. So it was crazy. I'll never forget it. And if no other reason, I love Night of the Round, but if no other reason, those guys are responsible for my first meetup ever with the band officially. So thank you all for that.
The first year we just kind of met.
Yeah.
And then we didn't hang out a whole lot. And then after we left, we all kind of hooked up on social media and kind of got to know each other. So then the following year, when we both returned to MagFest, both playing on Saturday night this time.
Yeah, that's right.
They were still the headliners,
right, yeah.
but
we still played.
We were
earlier,
there.
but we were also there,
and that's when we kind of really started to become friends, and hanging out with each other, and actually that's when the seeds of tours were first planted. We talked about, they're like, hey, we'll bring you guys overseas, and we're like, we'll bring you over here. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Because it'll be way cooler over there, but but I'm getting ahead of myself. That's how we met, and it was a magical moment. The first moment I laid eyes on Tommy Loma, my Finnish brother.
Of course you wanted to skate, but that's another thing also, like when you're doing technical startup. I'm down here. The first thing, of course you just spend months.
Like looking in a mirror. I like the stroking, it's so appropriate.
Between rating the service, say like, you know what, we need to do the service properly. It's gonna take like 5 to 6 years.
My Finnish brother.
And I just want to point out that I think, because Jonna usually hides out somewhere, but we were both watching Arm Cannon, and they started playing. They did a cover of Hulk Hogan's entrance music and Shawn Michaels' "Sexy Boy."
I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy.
And we're both like, yeah. Oh, and I was like, oh, you like wrestling? You like wrestling? And it was true, and a bond was formed, a wrestling bond.
And then the next year, we all hid out in the hotel room and watched Wrestle Kingdom instead of doing MagFest stuff. So that was nice.
That was a good memory.
I'm alive again, man.
Amazing to finally see my favorite band live for the first time, and then just meeting them, and getting to see how cool they all were. You view people in your favorite bands as these icons that are larger than life, and you can't possibly reach them, whereas these guys are all just chill, down to earth nerds that want to talk about video games and have a beer with you, and it's honestly amazing.
You listen to a band for so many years and you start to form an imaginary image of what they would be like if you have met them, and 9 times out of 10, you'll never be able to meet your favorite bands. And I think the first MagFest was such a unique experience for all of us, because we were able to not only hear live MASU music for the first time ever, and some of us thought we would never be able to hear that, but we also got a chance to get to know them and meet them on a very human level.
And they are truly some of the nicest people we've ever gotten the chance to know.
For as hard rock as these guys are, and like the riffs that they put out, and like you just get that persona of like hard rockers, you know, that unapproachability, at least for us, like we're like, oh, these guys are famous and whatnot. And they were the coolest, down-to-earth, chill, fun dudes ever.
It was really great seeing how personable, how open they were to just hang out with everyone. I think we were at the restaurant for like 5 hours, just like sitting there drinking. So that led to like some weird shit, you know, once everyone's been drinking all day. But it was really fun. You know, hopefully we can do it again sometime.
We bonded super close. Like, you know, some of you might think that I'm the push-up guy. I am also the clone of Gordon, you know? Like, I think between us, like, my hair is a little messed up, but I think the two of us might have had some genetic enhancements along the way to look this good and this far apart, looking this good together. So, you know, there's the two of us.
We have the thing in Sweden called Little Saturday, which we call Lilla Pattarklappardagen. Lilla Pattarklappardagen.
I think quite frequently how much I wish I could just come hang out with y'all and play music or do something like that.
And that's the dream right there, isn't it? To be able to connect with your heroes, the people who inspired and moved you in your life, to talk to them about your dreams and your ambitions and your challenges, and then to hear that right back and listen to the things that impacted their lives and hear their challenges and their dreams.
You know, you go to the Machine meetups at MagFest, and we're like our own little family now. And that's something that I've never gotten with, you know, being in any other fandom, whether it be video games, music, whatever. The feeling of connection that I have with those people that I met through Machine Supremacy, it's tough to replicate.
I remember Robert or Gordon, whomever was tackling the social media at the time, had posted after that first MagFest that the first American show was unique in many ways. And that always stuck with me, because I think at the end of the day, they were just as curious about meeting and seeing all of us here in America as we were curious about meeting and seeing them for the first time. It was such a storybook way to kick off a whole myriad of new experiences and opportunities, friendships. I think everybody in that room that night felt that it wasn't just an unforgettable experience, it was a definitive one.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
After the show as well, I think Robert or someone on social had said something to the effect of this was the start of a really, really great, long-lasting friendship. And they were right. You know, over the years, we've been able to now share vacations and adventures and life moments together. And, you know, it's really an unforgettable sort of experience there that very first time.
That just kind of speaks volumes for the camaraderie, the passion and the energy, and just like the down-to-earthness that we have for each other.
I love you.
I know. We'll talk about the U.S. tour first, even though it came chronologically second. But that was really fun for us because we, you know, they had played the MagFest shows, so they had been to the U.S. as a band, and so it wasn't their first time playing in the U.S., but it was their first time touring in the U.S., which is, you know, a very different experience. And it was really cool to see them in, you know, what I consider an environment that they are larger than. Like, it was cool to see them in kind of these clubs, because a lot of you may not know, but the music venues in Europe are a lot better than the ones in the United States.
Ooh. So
it's a different world. For us, it was a dream come true to go overseas and play in those venues. For them, you know, the consummate, polite gentlemen they are, seem to really enjoy it. So I will not say anything otherwise, but it's intimidating to play with them because they're very talented. They're very professional in a way that we maybe are not so much.
We try.
It's like peanut butter and jelly. Like, they're the peanut butter and they're smooth, and we're the jelly and we're all mashed up and gooey.
That's true.
Ian, whoa, whoa. Not yet.
Whoa, whoa. Oh.
It's the verse. And none of the Finnish
Håkan
guys knows how to sing it. We only know the chorus.
She knows what's terrible.
Well,
No, okay, she doesn't.
she's not a Finnish guy.
You know, it was their first American tour, and they hit up Houston, Austin, and Dallas. And John and I hit up all three shows. And, yeah, man, the first night, that first show, we were a little starstruck. But in Austin, Gordon came down and sat with us and talked with us and just chatted it up. And from then, we've been friends for life, man. It's awesome.
It's the fact that he was, they came out and they talked to us like normal people. And it's like, that's where you got to know them. They actually ask you questions about, your family and let you know that, we care about our fans, we're not just going to be, we're not going to be the Metallicas and the Avenged Sevenfold to be too good to talk to you guys. You guys were real, and that means a lot. After Dallas, we each got signed guitars. I've got my axe from Tommy, and he's got Gordon's bass signed, and it's very, very
near and dear to our hearts.
Very near and dear to our hearts. That week after the Dallas show, which was the last show on the tour, they were in the Dallas area for about another 5 days, and we partied it the hell up.
It was really cool. We got to show them, because it's all places we had played before.
Yeah.
So we got to kind of, tell them about the town a little bit, and they would go and explore, and they did it right. They had nice hotels and stuff like that. We were in not so much nice, but they would let us hang out,
We got to hang out with them.
A taste of the high life, and we were in Chicago, and that was probably the best night of the U.S. tour. It was Gordon's birthday, and we were all hanging out. Rustin had bulldozed his way into a rooftop bar that was about to close, and he was like, "Hey, if you stay open, I'm about to bring a bunch of guys here, and they're European, they're rich, so they're gonna throw money around." And they were like, Now Gordon didn't know that he was being committed to spending a lot of money on his own birthday, but so we all showed up and realized we were in over our heads because they had bottle service and we were the only ones in there. They were technically closed. They stayed open for this, and so they brought out little flatbread pizzas and all this and the pitchers of vodka and stuff. Sober at the time, still am, but it was a little bit less fun for me, but everyone else seemed to be having a lot of fun. And so we were there for a long time. It was, at the top of this building in Chicago. It was in winter. Everything looked really cool. I mean, it was, oh wait, you weren't there.
No, I was.
Who wasn't there?
I was there.
Nolan.
I think Nolan and Adam.
Okay,
I was there for half of it. You guys texted me, and then they're like, "Oh, it's like 3 blocks away. We don't want to walk there." So yeah, I was there.
He was there, and then Gordon and I sang Red Hot Chili Peppers on the way home under the bridge downtown. It was delightful. It was a magical night. I love those guys, and I hope they come back.
It was great seeing them play at MagFest both years, but it's like we play with a lot of people together at MagFest, and it's like we share the stage, but it doesn't quite feel like it because there's so many people. And so when we finally got to play with them in Europe and then back at home for the MagFest expansion tour, you get to know each other's show better and you get to hang out more, and it does feel like, because at that point it's like we're all in it together to try to make this a good night for the crowd, on a given day. So it does feel more like sharing the stage, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it, and I hope we get to do it again soon. MASU.
Oh.
See what I did there?
Well, yeah.
Whoa, whoa. Whoa.
Sorry. We'll tell a funny story on their behalf, but they were in their, what do they have, a van? Yeah, they were in the rental van. I think they were in Texas, and I know that Tommy was on the phone with someone back home. I think his wife. Is that right?
Was it Nikki on the phone?
No, because oh no, you're right. Nikki was on the phone, and he asked Tommy like where they were, and Tommy said, "Stop your bragging," like, because he was, "Oh, we're in the United States, like, where are we today?" Playing the rock star. He said, "Stop your bragging," but Nikki thought he said, "Stabber bragging," like that's where they were. So that became a thing for the rest of the tour. Stabber bragging USA.
So our first date of the next tour will be Stabber bragging. So all you Stabber bragging fans,
finally get your chance.
We're coming. So in our band, we the finale or the climax of the performance, we have a fight with a giant monster that comes out, and we're struggling to defeat this monster, and one of our secret weapons that ends up not working is a toilet paper shooter in which we toilet paper the monster, and it looks really cool. It doesn't sound
super cool.
It looks really cool, and so that's part of our act, and so we like to incorporate that into tour shenanigans as well. So we, on occasion, have turned the TP gun onto our friends in Machinae Supremacy and doused them in pure American toilet paper magic.
I think it's a really good prank for Machinae Supremacy because, as previously mentioned, they're like super professional and super talented dudes, and suddenly like they're getting covered with toilet paper and they can't play, and they're like, oh, this is funny, but I'm really actually very angry about not being able to play my guitar.
They're like, yeah,
yeah,
like
take
not
that.
being able to play.
This is how we feel all the time.
Share your thoughts and experiences playing with them in Europe.
Now that was a dream come true. I never thought it would happen. We talked about it at MagFest in 2014, I think. It was like January, so it wasn't right away. So ended up September 2015. We went overseas to open for Machinae Supremacy on their WTF World Tour Part 2.
It's all those little things that I fear. And I just I'd rather not be, because they won't let me drive late at night.
Not only was the experience of playing venues and to audiences overseas, it was amazing, but we got to know the guys so much. We got to see where they lived, and we got to stay, with Gordon's amazing parents for like a whole week before the tour started. 'Cause, we had to build all of our stuff in their garage, and Kiki would bring us coffee and treats, and it was, and Stefan was showing us his work that he does with kids and musical work, and he came and he brought us to the place and he was showing us songs, and Kiki was making us amazing meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, it was the most hospitable group of human beings that we've ever encountered in our lives.
And they let me use their garage to build all of our props. We basically mailed over a couple of boxes full of pieces because we couldn't just like send them over completed. So I was just, they let me use their garage, and they let us use their tour van, their old tour van, to like drive around to do the tour, but also to drive around and get the extra stuff that we needed to make our show. So that was, but like Daniel said, it was also really fun. We just got to hang out. It was a really good way to start the tour, just to hang out and get to know them a little bit more, and just being like a cool new place for us. And then, they were so generous to us the whole tour. Like I said, letting us use their van. They let me use one of their guitars. They let us use their rehearsal space once we got there to get everything up and running. They let us use their 11 racks. I mean, we just used
keyboard.
MIDI
keyboard. I mean, it was just, they made it possible for us, and so it was really incredible. And the shows themselves were amazing because the crowds, playing to their crowds. It ended up being all shows in Sweden and Finland, and it was just like crazy fun, energetic crowds, and the venues were amazing, and the staff were, it was like this crazy rock star experience. And they gave us their hotel rooms, because they had the bus, and so we're staying in these nice hotels, and it was just so much fun, and to get to not only play with them every night, but to watch their show every night. Was you get to know the set, and this is my favorite one that's coming up. And and it was just it It was incredible.
Profound. Something profound. Something profound. Something profound.
My favorite Masu-related memory, the last time they were over here for MagFest, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago now. Well, first of all, I walked down into the hotel restaurant where they're eating lunch, and I come up to the table, and the band stands up to greet me like I was the celebrity somehow. I was so blown away by this, like I couldn't believe it. But even better than that was on the way over from Sweden, something had gotten broken. I can't remember what. You'd have to ask Nikki. But I'm in a panel at MagFest, and I get a text, James, do you got wheels? And I'm like, yeah. Why, what's up? Well, they asked me to drive them to Guitar Center to grab some kind of part. I don't remember what it was. But we drove through traffic for 2 hours. It was me, Nikki, and Tommy. And honest to God, I felt like I saved Christmas. Because, you know, it was like, the set obviously still would have gone on either way. It was the next day or something like that. But here I was, like, coming to the rescue. And it was, like, I tell everybody that I can about that. Like, who gets to save your favorite band's set that way? Oh, it's so good. It's my favorite thing.
One of the best Machinae Supremacy shows that I've been to. And I can't, you know, I don't live in the area. They've only been out to the States so many times. They played this bar in Brooklyn. They blew the roof off the house. They blew the house down. They crushed it. And that was the first time that my wife saw them play. And she loved it. She was jumping around. She was all in it. And that means a lot. Like, I knew of Machinae Supremacy when I was in college. When I was, you know, when I could barely grow a beard. When I can, you know, didn't know anything about anything. And now all of a sudden I'm married, and I'm so unbelievably grateful with the fact that my wife loves them, just from a music standpoint, but also from them being great guys. And that in and of itself is a great package, and I can only look at them as being good friends. You know, whatever they need, if they ever need a place to crash, whatever, like, my room's always open. You know, like, we're, you know, hanging out, drinking beer, you know, playing music, talking about life, talking about whatever, like, you know, it's just easy. And with them,
I think my favorite memory with the band, or really just the entire fan base in general, would have to be Machinae Mondays. And this was something that my good friend Victor Velen and myself would host each and every Monday, just sort of celebrating the entire music catalog from them. The entire fan base would come in, always share all of their stories from how they got into them to what songs like really meant the most to them. And it was always fun just talking with everybody. And then you would get members of the band themselves coming in and sharing stories of, you know, what inspired them when they were making certain songs or certain albums. Or we would even have certain events celebrating the anniversaries of certain albums. It was always a good time. It was always so much fun. And it's something that's always going to stick with me.
They are karaoke fanatics. Do not mess with them if they want to challenge you to a karaoke competition.
This is true.
They will kick your ass.
May I say, not in a shy way.
Gordon, we discovered through karaoke, has a criminally underrated vocal range.
And more, much more than this, I did my way.
So in the next 20 years of you guys making music, he better appear as a lead vocalist on one of these tracks.
You know, you can understand that, like, in the world of rock and roll, there are certain changes that sometimes occur.
So get to it.
Oh, can't you see what I mean? Okay, everyone, hop on. Okay. Might as well hop on. You might as well hop on.
That one time that we ate a dick, literally, Robert.
No motherfucker's my dick.
I think one of my favorite recent memories would have to be Comic-Con from a couple years ago. Took Robert and Paulina over to New York Comic-Con, and I got to witness their engagement, by the way, which was incredible in its own right.
Congratulations.
It was the last day of the event, and you have to realize there are 250,000 people that go to this event. So, you know, the chances of seeing someone that, you know, you would recognize or know are pretty remote. But sure enough, the last day of the con, we're in line checking out, buying some comics, and this guy in a Into the Night World t-shirt walks right by us, right in front of us, and we had to stop and get a picture. It was such a tremendous moment for Robert to see that, yeah, sure enough, their music is all over the place, and you just don't know, how deep and how far that influence goes, for sure.
Yeah, crazy.
One of my more recent memories was Gordon and his friends were in the States, in New York. We were over Chris Cook's place in Jersey City, and we were just hanging out, chumming, drinking beers and tequila, and my wife got super smashed and we had to leave early, but up until that point, we had a great time.
Tequila!
To be fair, guys, we do owe you a trip. We deserve to come to you.
Whirly ball. Whirly ball with the Swedes.
There was a Finn in there too.
And a Finn. Yeah. 2 Finns.
Definitely the day drinking. We got some 40s of Old English, got them up in brown paper bags, and we sat on the side of a building and got shit-faced on a Monday afternoon at like 2 o'clock. It was straight up legit. We were drinking like bums, and we fucking loved it. Still some of my favorite pictures that we took. We did Top Golf. We got our lifetime member cards. We paid our respects to Dimebag Darrell, which was totally awesome. That was one of the things that Tommy's like, if I do nothing else, we're gonna go pay our respects, and that was pretty awesome, considering he's a local hero of mine, is too. Masu came to my house and drank my fucking beer. It was legit.
Anytime you're ready, you can come right on back.
Hells yeah. I got a bigger house now. I can fit all of you guys. Though far apart, united by ice hockey. And as a Dallas Stars fan growing up, Jari Lehtinen was one of my favorite hockey players. If you ask me, he's probably the best two-way forward to ever play the game. Jari Lehtinen was born in Finland, and the same as Tommy. So Tommy follows a lot of the Finnish hockey players playing in the NHL. So I thought it was a neat gift to give him a hockey puck when he finished his North American tour back in 2017. Tommy and Gordon and Nikki and I were hanging out at my house, and I thought, hey, you know what? I got a couple of Jari Lehtinen signed hockey pucks. I figured it'd be a nice gesture, a nice gift to a Finn. I knew he would absolutely appreciate it. And he did. He was like, man, I can't tell you how awesome that gift is. That's amazing. Thank you. And I figured it's also the least I could do, since, he did give me his guitar. I'd say that's a fair trade. I pretty much forgot about the whole thing until a couple years later when they were doing a tour and they were at a music festival in Finland. And who does Tommy bump into but Jari Lehtinen? And he's like, Jari, I got this hockey puck signed by you. A buddy of mine in Dallas gave it to me.
Before taking this picture, I told him that when we played in Dallas, one of our friends, John Michael, the puck, an original like a Dallas Stars puck with a Jari Lehtinen signature on it. And so we took the picture, and then the other famous Finnish ice hockey player, Jan Niinima, said that you don't have the puck.
And Tommy's like, shows him a picture. He's like, yeah, he called his bluff on that.
Just now, we meet in this bar and I show him this picture from our friend in Dallas, Texas, John Podolanko, who says, tell him Dallas misses him, and he shows or sent his picture of Jari Lehtinen.
I wish I could have been there to see it, but like I said, I had forgotten about the whole story until my buddy Mason, calls me. He says, dude, Machinae Supremacy, the MASU guys, they just named you in one of their vlogs. I'm like, but no way. Why would they name me in one of their vlogs? And sure enough, I go watch the video and they tell that whole story, and I'm sitting there with a grin ear to ear. I just definitely hope we can have some more stories like that in the coming years. I'm definitely, waiting for the next North American tour. I'm humbled that I could be a part of that.
So legendary. Well, and you have the fun. In a way, it is also go for united by heart or united by ice hockey. Can somebody, Gordon? Can you hold the?
Uh-oh.
You ready? You ready?
Above. Here.
Above the knot.
He wants to hear. Yeah. Really? Yeah. Here we go.
Oh, shit, son. Damn.
Damn.
White man scalps. Hey, this is the country of scalping.
Where's the knife? It's done. Hold on, I get this. Oh my God.
Yeah, get it here.
So, I think my favorite memory, and also it was a memory that I didn't enjoy at the time, but I love remembering. Both of those were what city was that in? Where?
It was in Turku.
Turku. I feel like, because every time we do a tour, it takes a little while to like get in the groove of it. So I felt like the show that we did in Turku. I'm sure I'm saying that terrible.
Just have to say it like Tommy Loma.
Gone, what's wrong with the way I talk?
Everything.
When we finally had like a really good show on our end, and MASU had been having great shows the entire time, obviously, but the whole show was just a really big success, and it felt like now we're in it, now we're doing it, and like we're in the groove, and like we're making good shows together. And so that was my favorite. That show was my favorite, like good memory. And this other memory is good now, but after that show, I went back to one of two rooms that we had to try to go to sleep. Me and our sub bass player, Rafi, were trying to sleep. I think we maybe even were asleep. And what I remember, and this is exactly how it unfolded, and they could tell you the rest of what happened before this, but we're sleeping and suddenly the door opens and it's Daniel. And what he said was something along the lines of like, "I'm sorry for what is about to happen." And then everyone stumbled in like very drunk. And like me and Rafi were like in our boxers, just like Rafi was okay with it.
Yeah,
he was like, "Thomas,
right
what's happening?" Oh, I think he just maybe started drinking some too, and it basically became a room party, which normally would be fun, but for me that night I was in the middle of trying to go to sleep.
That was really fun.
So what happened next was, I was trying to there was supposed to be another room, and then it became a mystery mission to try to figure out where the other room was. So like me and Tommy went downstairs and saw Gordon, went upstairs and went downstairs of this hotel and finally found it. And so I went in this other room and went to sleep. And all night long, I was waiting, because there's only two rooms and like a bunch of us. All night long, I was waiting for someone to come to bed. And like nobody ever came. Like I just slept in there all night, so I don't know where everyone else slept. Yeah. But I was just
we didn't know there was another room.
Okay, so everyone just piled on each other.
So Nolan was sleeping on the windowsill.
Oh, that's
because
right.
He's a weird little goblin. But so what had happened leading up to that is, after the show, we went to a club that was near the venue that we played, and we were having a bit of the drink and a bit of the dance, and everyone was like partying, and then so we left the place, and it was all the rest of us in Eurozone with Casey and Adam, and then everyone in MASU plus like 8 or 10 random people from the street that we just collected in our party, and then somebody had the idea to bring the party back to the hotel, and that's why, well, at least let me warn Tommy that what's about to happen, and
that's it,
and the rest of that night was pretty rambunctious. It was a lot of people in a very small room, and I remember going to sleep as the sun came up, and I wasn't particularly well rested.
Yeah, but I think that kind of sums up that day. I think everyone felt like we were finally, everyone was in the groove, and everyone was real happy and excited to celebrate after that.
I have Amber here with me because it does involve her. So there was a time years back where she had to get surgery done. And I won't get into too much, but it was a tough process. It involved an overnight stay, and I think A View was going to be released the next day. So I had spent a considerable amount of time there. The hospital she was at, in comparison to where I was at the time, was very close. So I took a break of sorts to, I guess, get. I don't remember what I got. I think I got a backpack with stuff, but I also acquired, through the wonderful means of the internet, I acquired the A View album, which I have here.
So pirating's okay as long as you buy it.
Right, yeah, that something like that. But what the band says. Anyway, but yeah, needless to say, it helped with things. There were periods of time of waiting and not so great news and recovery and so on and so forth. So this album served as not just, it happens to be my favorite, but it also has this kind of a backstory to it, because technically my first few listens of this album.
Hospital room with me.
Yes. And even if we go outside of that, there's a lot of standout tracks to this day. It is my favorite album, but I think I already said, but it deserves mentioning again because it's just that awesome.
Let's look at the track listing, shall we? There is 2 songs on here, which I must thank the band for, because they got me the chance to get Victor to watch a certain anime. It was called Death Note.
Ah, yes.
It's one of the best animes and one of my very favorites. And because of World of Light and Shinigami, he humored watching it with me and found that he enjoyed it.
Very good. I'll watch that again.
Should.
I'd like to be the one to recommend you.
I think my favorite memory was in Tampere. Tommy, that's probably wrong, but him and Mika, the Finns of the group, had been promising us a traditional Finnish sauna.
Oh, yeah.
And we were, after that show in Tampere, they found out that venue or whatever had a sauna that they were going to let us use, and so I think it was me, Adam, Nolan, and Rafi, and then most of MASU guys, and then a couple of the guys from Yohio, who had played that night as well. Adam and I, being the prudish Americans, were like, okay, we're kind of sitting here, and so what do? We get the towels, and we're ready to go, and then I guess we go, and then it's just like a troop of 8, Scandinavian gentlemen, bare naked, cocks a-swinging, filling up the sauna bucket, and okay, grab their beers.
Okay, so should I take my shirt off now, or?
Okay, it's decided.
All right, well, when in Finland, so it's odd that my favorite memory was a bunch of naked dudes, but to me it felt like a very authentic experience that I would not have had in the States with some cool people. So hung out there for a long time, and everyone kind of got drunk and dehydrated, and then went to bed. So that was a fun night.
One day in the universe, I met a boy 19 years ago who glomped my backpack at school. And to this day, through thick and thin and the things I've had to rise and reset, he's always been there. And it's this boy who has become the man that sits next to me.
Sounds like a tool.
Totally. Absolutely. Big fucking tool. But if it wasn't for him, a lot of things in my life would be the same. So I have to say that he's the one who introduced me to Masu. And a lot of these songs will always remind me of him.
And as a cellist myself, I was really lucky to have the opportunity to record on their track Europa, which most of you, I'm sure, have heard. It's one of the most beautiful songs. I'm just really grateful that I got the chance to be a part of it.
The Digital Nation has always been something that's been truly special to me because when it comes to the Machinae Supremacy fan base, there's no like one country that contains all members of the fan base because we're all from different countries. We all have different backgrounds, nationalities. We all speak different languages, but we're all basically combined through our love for the band, and I think that's something that is just truly special to me, and I know many others feel the same.
The Digital Nation is the online community that is without order, without religious views. It transcends borders, cultures, civilizations, politics. It's just one people.
When I think about the Digital Nation, I think of that being everyone within the tech community, nerds, gamers, people who are into comic books, everyone who's into technology and music, and how, at least through the mediums of the internet, that allows us all to connect beyond any kind of border.
The Digital Nation is us. The kids that grew up on the internet, forums, IRC, chat rooms, those of us who kind of got the internet subculture and humor before memes and stuff like that hit the mainstream.
The A and then the ring around it?
At.
See, that's what I said.
Mm-hmm.
Katie said she thought it was about.
Yeah. Oh.
But I'd never heard it.
Around.
I'd never heard it said. I'd always seen the mark, but never heard it said. And then it sounded stupid when I said it. Violence at NBC.
I heard around big fight up in the lunchroom the other week.
There it is. Violence at NBC. GE.com. I mean.
Well, Allison should know.
What is internet anyway?
What did you say? Internet is that massive computer network. Mm-hmm. The one that's becoming really big now.
What do you mean? That's big? How does one? What do you write to it like mail?
No, a lot of people use it and communicate. I guess they can communicate with NBC writers and producers. Allison, can you explain what internet is?
The Digital Nation has been, that whole network of people and systems and circumstances that have made this whole journey possible for the band, and it's just made me happy how every time we get something new technology-wise or recording has become easier, allowing them to be, allowing the band to be flexible, allowing them to choose to be part of a label or not.
You can take my life, but you can never improve my shitty audio quality!
Oddly enough, in this modern day, we did meet in person for the first time. We'd never had any contact with each other otherwise, but after that point, like I mentioned earlier, that first MagFest, and we all kind of met casually and then reconnected online, that's when the actual relationship started. So by the time we saw each other again a year later at the next MagFest, we were it was like old buddies, even though we'd only met once before. And then everything from that point on, from the idea of the tours, setting things up, like artwork approvals, merch orders, all this stuff. I mean, everything is online, and the fact that we're able to work so closely with a group of people that's so far away is such an amazing blessing for us, because none of this would have been possible otherwise.
And yeah, even today, years later, after the U.S. The MagFest expansion tour, we'll still people still post messages in that Facebook group with us and Danimal Cannon, Night of the Round. And so, I mean, that's just been, obviously having the ability to keep those interactions going afterwards is something that I think we all value.
Facebook, I'm chatting up Tommy every so often. We've had a few fun ideas. We've run past each other about how to fuck with the other guys in the band. One of these days, we're going to actually deliver on it. He's going to start throwing out Machinae Supremacy pics to the fans, and everybody else is going to be like, where the fuck did you get those? So we're gonna make something happen one of these days.
Rise of the Digital Nation. That term, Digital Nation, is so prevalent these days. We're increasingly seeing death and destruction all around us through the internet. And I think that people need to appreciate it for what it is. It's a tool that has made us become more connected, and hopefully that is able to be used to mend some of the bonds that have been destroyed over the last 10 years. And hopefully Machinae Supremacy is able to add to that, because it's definitely helped me, so hopefully it can help others.
There's two phrases actually. One is, well, though far apart, united by heart. And it's true because so many people don't really interact with people in real life much and have much better connections with people that are far away. So it's something that I myself can definitely know that what that experience is like. But it doesn't devalue the experience. But the most important part of that song, and it's repeated throughout, but it affected my life a lot, and especially recently, is rise and reset the world, which is a huge message that so many people need to really listen to. Because with the world the way it is and the way things are going, if enough people can rise to reset it, we can, especially the digital nation. So that song inspired myself, to rise and reset my life.
We all have our differences, whether geographically, every nation has their cultural and economic and social differences. People from even those different cultures can come together and find that one thing that, that brings them together, Machinae Supremacy, and we can just, despite what our differences are in politics and economics, and anything, we can appreciate each other, and we can level with each other and be real. We can agree that you guys are the fucking most awesome band in the world. Hells yeah.
Since I've been following the band their whole time around, I got a tattoo of them on my left rib back in 2015 when Phantom Shadow came out. They'd been such a huge part of me, so to be able to follow them over that course of time was very significant to me, and I figured I just have to commemorate them. I have to take them with me my whole life.
I got my first Machinae Supremacy tattoo when I was 17, still in high school. Only one out of my friends with a tattoo, so fuck yeah, I'm a man. I got the words "so far apart, united by heart" tattooed on my shoulder. At the time, I was probably not in the best mental health or place in my life. 17, wow, what a year to be depressed. But the words showed me that I was not alone, and there were other people out there like me who appreciated the same things and the same sentiments that I did. And that was really important. That was so important to me at that time. I got it on my back because I want it to be something that follows me, and that the people who follow me can see as well, and hopefully they can appreciate it the way that I did.
I can't vouch for a Machinae Supremacy tattoo yet.
This is a larger piece that features gears that goes up all the way onto my shoulder here, but obviously you can see the Trinity logo. And further down, you have the lyrics to the second one, which are, by now I'm not the one, but I can be the one you need. And it's just kind of felt like a personal mantra to me ever since I heard it. Like the first time I heard those lyrics, I was like, "Yep, that's tattoo worthy, right there." And I always get asked about it, and everybody's all like, "What's the symbol for? What's the symbol for?" I was like, "Well, it's for this dope band that you should definitely check out."
If they stopped being a band today, they would still have had one hell of a career with uniting so many people across the world, and just probably being the most friendly, the most unique sounding band out there. And I can honestly say that their existence has not only improved the lives of others, but it's also improved my life as well, and I am just eternally grateful for that.
I think the band's legacy, in many of our eyes, would be to be the best or most successful underground band of all time. In a lot of our eyes, that's kind of the case because they saw a crazy amount of downloads when they were just online only. They've put out an entire concert for free. Like, a lot has happened with that.
You guys are the Firefly of music.
Well, my days of not taking you seriously are certainly coming to a middle.
You guys had a small following. Firefly didn't have a big number of viewers back in its day, but now you guys have a cult following. Straight up religious. We will fight anybody.
Shiny Captain.
Yep. You stop making music today, you probably have a bigger following in 5 years.
I really appreciate the music that the guys create.
You guys are the pioneers of Sid Metal. Nobody can ever take that from you.
They're definitely going to have a very strong legacy. The very strong songwriting, very catchy tunes, very using the types of sounds that they did was very innovative and very fun. And it's all the old tracks really hold up. That I still listen to the whole range of albums. In fact, I probably listen to some of the older stuff a lot more. When I first listened to when you're young, that stuff really sticks in your head. So it's I think it's always just going to be there for me to go back to.
They existed before a lot of these other types of bands that have come out, and the evolution of their music from just being instrumental and to go and have Rob singing to just holding down the fort. The fact that the legacy has been there for so long, the music is consistent and solid and amazing, and their live shows are fantastic. You can't beat it.
I think the band's legacy, if they stop making music today, would be, obviously they were innovators of their own style, the Sid Metal style. There has not been anything like it, and maybe won't be ever since. But more importantly, I think what they can say they brought to the table is how much they brought people together, from different walks of life, from different countries.
They'll always be the OG Sid Metal band. I always found that they made a unique music with a unique sound, and they've been fighting a good fight before anyone really realized that there was a battle worth fighting for.
I've traveled around a lot, and there have been times when I was living in Michigan and had no real connection to anybody, but that was when Overworld came out, and, Machinae Supremacy kind of got me through that. And then I was living in London when Rise of a Digital Nation came out, and, that got me through tough times there. And it's, I could just always turn to that music when I was, feeling down or feeling lonely or anything like that.
The band has really inspired me to sort of get out of my own box, because I am a very introverted person. Anxiety really prevents me from talking to any new people, and it's so hard for my anxiety to get in the way with how just amazingly friendly and welcoming they all have been. You talk to any member of the band. I've only been able to talk to them online, unfortunately, but every time I've had a conversation with one of them, they've always just been so nice. They make you feel like you're the most important person at that point in time, that your time is just so incredibly valuable. And I've never really met a band who that's really been the case. So often that I've met guitarists or vocalists or whoever it may be, and they are always just ready to move on to the next person. With them, in my experience anyway, it's always been about, okay, let's talk to you, let's see what you have to say, because I really care and I really feel like everything that you're saying is important, and that just means the absolute world to me.
That, with the friendships we've made, it's life-changing.
Yeah.
It's life-changing.
There's no enough words to say how important you guys are to me.
These guys are very special, and they're very unique, and the relationships that they forge that started with music, that evolved into, a competition to be part of their legacy, is now a resounding friendship, is amazing to me. Like, it's kind of bewildering that this is even a thing that I can talk about.
In the end, with technology the way it's going and communication the way it is, I mean, there's a reason consoles only come with one controller nowadays. That's because, besides money, a lot of people don't play video games with friends in the same room anymore. They don't interact that way or connect that way. And there are friends that him and I hold to this day that we've never met. That we met because of Digital Nation.
20 years of Machinae Supremacy. I'm 23. You guys started when I was 3 years old. That's nuts. 10 years I've been listening to this band and appreciating their words, their music, and their craft. And I just hope that they continue as long as they possibly can, because they mean so much to me and so much to other people around the world. And I hope they know that. They are truly, truly appreciated in the stuff that they do.
I wish them good luck in regards to like future touring. Hopefully there's another US showing soon, whether it be on a smaller scale or something like MagFest again, a return to MagFest. I'm sure a lot of people would like that. And overall fan interaction. So to see those interactions, like the vlogs that have been happening on YouTube lately, more of that.
The journeys of Machinae Supremacy.
It builds that connection that I think is already there. Like anyone who's been to a show, or heck, has even just been looking at the vlogs, you really don't need much more than that. The band's very personable and friendly. They're very willing to hang out with people, and they're basically one of us. So it feels very natural in that sense, and I respect the hell out of that.
20 years!
20 years,
wow.
Man.
You guys have had a very prolific career, and I'm glad to have been able to follow it for almost the entire 20 years.
It's really hard to believe that it's already been 20 years for them, with how many great albums they've already released today, how many great songs they have already released, and the impact that they've already left upon an entire world of fans. And I just want to say personally thank you for that. You guys have just done so much for me. Even though I haven't met you guys in person yet, I already feel like we're basically already friends, and I hope that you guys have nothing but success going forward in whatever you do and however long you decide to make your career. I know it's going to be a great one. And just thank you so much for all the great music and for all the great memories.
And I wanted to give you all my best wishes to you guys. Rob, Gordon, Tommy, Nikki, and Jonas. Say that I'll be here with you for many more years to come. Thank you for existing. Thank you for making this amazing music that's touched me, that's touched my soul, and this music that has been part of my life for several years now.
I just want to say to everyone in Machinae Supremacy, thank you so much for that time you came through and visited the United States. Thank you so much for making all the music and continuing to grow and evolve as musicians. You've been such a huge part of my life, and I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart, and happy 20th anniversary.
I just want to say thank you sincerely, members past and present. Your music has had a profound impact on my life. Your sound is unique. I'm looking forward to the next 20 years, and I hope you keep making music for as long as I can listen to it.
I was only a wee young man 20 years ago.
So many things have happened in 20 years.
And so much more has happened for you than
than perhaps for us.
Than for most, really. And, and that's a testament to, in all seriousness, you guys not only were able to come out of the gate and establish yourselves as something new and original and exciting that connected with people, but the fact that you've had lasting power to 20 years later have so many fans worldwide,
right?
And to have a couple of assholes down here in Texas sending video well wishes to you. It says it all. You guys are incredible. So congrats.
I just want to thank the band for being awesome and for being there and like creating such awesome music and being so open with their fans and not only just putting themselves out there, but actually following through. You see a lot of bands, some bands like put ask a band member thing and then never follow through, or like it's just like a one-off thing. But MASU has always been out there really open with their fans, and you can see that they're also very grateful for for their fan base and how it's allowed them to grow and do all these things. And I hope they'll continue for quite a bit longer, or get as much music as we can from them, because it's really fun and pretty much love it.
Don't fuck it up.
More. Give me more.
Just thank you. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you, Gordon. Thank you, Jonas. Thank you, Tommy. Thank you guys for the dedication, the consistency, the energy, the passion, the friendship, and most importantly, the spooning. So thank you for all of that.
Happy 20th anniversary. I hope you all are doing well. I'm looking forward to seeing you at MagFest sometime in the near future. You better come back.
Basically, I just want to say happy 20th anniversary to MASU. You've had an incredible impact on my life. None of this would be happening if it wasn't for you. So thank you very much for everything you've done to impact my development as a human being, and to another 20 years.
So thank you guys. Best of luck with the future, and continue being badasses. Right.
The band has just had an incredible 20-year history of just pure win and awesome, and I can't wait for the next 20 years.
Guys, our across the pond friendship is an achievement. It's a symbol of some of the things you've been singing about for 20 years. It's a symbol of everything that I've believed in and always thought social media could be. It's about connection and understanding and cooperation and companionship.
I have been and ever shall be your friend.
And it's a real pleasure that you guys have opened up your lives to us. And thank you for taking us along for the ride, and hopefully we can be there at your side, rocking with you for another 20 years to come.
I just want to let you know you are so amazing. Machinae Supremacy. Thank you for your music, for your laughter, for the beers, and for all that weird shit that we got into at MagFest and in Brooklyn and at the weddings and everything else. And you guys make me feel so good. I can't help it. You guys are so beautiful. Love you.
Congrats. Here's to 20 more. Maybe we'll get to roll on down the road with you one of those years.
Thank you and congratulations on 20 years of music making.
And I want to thank you. Thank you so much for everything, everything that you mean to me.
And oh yeah, send metal life.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Cheers.
Cheers, you guys.
Peace.
Love you guys. MASU forever.
Though far apart, united by heart, fight forever.
Running out of space on the phone. Bye.